Tesla is currently up more than 10% in after-hours trading following the release of its Q1 earnings. Let's take a look into what they reported and a lot of stuff and see why it might be up this much. First of all, it is important context to know going into this call, Tesla stock was down pretty aggressively so far this year, around 40%. And given that the bar was pretty low, so even when Tesla reported EPS of 45 cents, which slightly missed expectations of 51 cents, and revenue of 21.3 billion, missing expectations of 22.3 billion, given where the current sentiment was, it was kind of pricing in absolutely terrible train wreck quarter, and we just got numbers themselves that really weren't good. On top of that, we did get a gross margin of 17.4%, which was above expectations of 16.5%. That is definitely a key number that people love to keep on watch. As we look over at Tesla's Q1 revenue history, though, I do love to use these charts to put some things in perspective. We can see that revenue did fall by $2 billion in the past year to $21.3 billion in Q1 of this year, which was just reported, down from $23.3 billion in Q1 of 2023. It's still higher than what they were at in 2022, which I think is still a good sign. But, this kind of hits on the numbers that this was not going to be a good quarter. The industry as a whole is struggling, and we are kind of waiting and hoping for the future at this point. As we scroll over to the Q1 net income, this one was also down from last year, but also down from the year before. So Tesla reported net income, this is GAAP net income, of $1.1 billion. That is down from $2.5 billion last year and $3.3 billion in the same quarter 2 years ago. Their free cash flow did come in negative for the quarter, which I think wasn't a great thing to see, but shows that they're investing, and that's some interesting stuff to watch. I do love these type of graphics from my friend Stock Market Nerd on X, Twitter, whatever we want to call it these days, but you can see they did miss a lot of the numbers. They did beat gross payment margins, a gross profit margin. That took way too long, and I'm glad you guys can get me to understand that live on this call. But they did beat the gross profits, which we showed up above, but most of the other numbers were below expectations, but not by too much. We could see revenue, auto revenue, cars produced, and all these other really great metrics on here, and some extra stuff on the bottom. I also do enjoy looking at this visualization of the Tesla income statement. We do see that obviously the majority of their sales do come from cars, but the energy generation and storage segment and the services segment both actually performed pretty well during the quarter. The energy generation segment was up 7% year over year, coming in at revenue of $1.6 billion, and the services segment was $2.3 billion, up 25% year over year. Strong growth in that segment, while the kind of core auto sales business, at least core at this time, was down 13% year over year. So interesting stuff to watch there. We can now look at the cumulative revenue every single quarter for Tesla. You can see that it was below Q1 of last year. Tesla did say on their earnings call that they expect to see at least growth in deliveries, not necessarily growth in revenue. That was not stated, but growth in deliveries was at least said they expect that to happen. This other headline, which you can kind of see here, I thought was pretty cool, and something that they've hinted at but haven't really directly showed us any examples of or told anything. But Tesla confirmed it's currently working on ride-hailing functionality that will be available in the future, going after the Ubers and the Lyfts of the world. So these graphics are a little pixelated, but we can still see them of what it looked like trying to summon a car, the interface of it being a couple miles away. You get more control of the car, where you can control the climate. I'm sure you'll be able to control the radio and all of that stuff, and a couple more of the graphics of what a ride-hailing app from Tesla could look like. This one, they didn't really give us any timelines here, but it potentially exciting in that direction. And then they also shared this very interesting graphic here showing off the Tesla ecosystem. They want you to know that Tesla is more than just a car company. I really found what I found fascinating on this graphic itself is that they have the humanoid robot at the top in the center. My eye first went there. To the solar segment, and the vast majority of their revenue coming from vehicles, and the vehicles was kind of hidden in the middle there. Now, it has the most bars going in and out of it, showing the importance of it, showing all the stuff that it impacts in the business, but it is not front and center. It's not at the top. It's not, where your eye goes first. And I took some takeaways from that one. I wonder if you guys had any thoughts on that as well. And now we have some commentary from the earnings call, which just ended. Elon Musk called Tesla's robo-taxi the Cybercab. People definitely got excited about that one. I actually think it's a pretty solid name. We'll see if we ever actually end up seeing it, but Cybercab is what they'll be called. Elon also did make some commentary around the Optimus humanoid robot, saying that he thinks thinks it will start doing some useful tasks around the factory by the end of this year. There was no messages on what those tasks would be or how many of their robots would be used, but apparently some useful tasks could be happening by the end of this year for the Optimus robot, and then they may be ready to sell it externally by the end of 2025. These are all just kind of what they're thinking, and maybe and that type of language was used when explaining this, but still a little bit more kind of commentary, and it's good to hear what they're thinking at this moment in time. Elon Musk also said Tesla is currently in conversations with one major automaker about licensing FSD, which is language we have heard before, but I have not heard this language personally. Maybe he has said it, that there's a quote-unquote, Elon thinks there's a good chance that Tesla signs a deal with an automaker to license FSD this year. They were kind of talking about how those other car companies, innovate and how long it takes them, when they get a new product to add it into something. And they were talking that they think even the most optimistic timeline from one of these kind of traditional automakers would see it take 2, 3, 4 years before, after an FSD licensing deal is signed, before those vehicles from those automakers are driving around on the road with FSD technology. So still a little bit of ways away from when we will physically see that in the real world, but Elon is optimistic that they might be signing a licensing deal for FSD later this year. He did make commentary that he may see multiple companies signing that FSD licensing. He said they're currently in talks with one, maybe they're multiple in the future. I don't know, some interesting commentary there, something I'm excited about. And I did like this quote as well from the call. Elon was asked about his importance in the company. And he made this comment that even if he was kidnapped by aliens tomorrow, that Tesla would still be the first company to solve autonomy, full self-driving, unsupervised, all of that stuff. He was a little bit more hesitant on the humanoid robot, saying that it's too early days and he can't kind of make that same claim with the level of confidence that he did with the FSD. But yeah, this was some good stuff to hear. And overall, I thought it was a pretty solid earnings call. Like I said, the stock was down 40% so far this year, so the bar is really low. And when you can come in with numbers that are just bad and then a pretty solid earnings call where you describe your vision and what you're having for the future, you have an engaged and excited Elon Musk, I thought that was a pretty good earnings call. So overall, I'm not super shocked by the move. An up 12% move of Tesla in after hours. We will see if it can hold it tomorrow. A lot to look out for. I appreciate you guys for listening to this video. If you're at this point, you're a true one, and I know you enjoy this stuff, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you give the video a like. Drop a comment down below on your thoughts on Tesla's earnings call. Maybe leave it as one word. So one word to describe how you thought the Tesla Q1 earnings went. And yeah, I appreciate all of you. I kind of want to do more of these type of videos. Let me know if you enjoy it, and I will catch you all later. Have a great one.